Howdy, howdy. Welcome to Humans Aren't Real podcast. I'm Wolf Vision, and with me is Frylock. Today's episode is our top 10 horror movies. Exciting times are ahead. Frylock, what is
Yes.
your number 10?
All right. So number 10, I kind of threw in there because we're doing a bit of a Halloween vibe, and this is a more of like a childhood type movie.
Okay.
And I think my wife likes it more than me, but I'm gonna throw in Hocus Pocus.
Oh, that is a good one.
I have not watched the second one myself. My wife has watched it.
I have.
She enjoyed it. Is it any good?
It
She
is
enjoyed it.
entertaining. For what it is, it's entertaining. They did.
Compared to the original one.
They made it for modern audiences. So it was a good revamp for Hocus Pocus.
All right.
So if you watch it,
Maybe I'll
you wouldn't be disappointed.
I say, yeah, maybe I'll have to go back and watch it. Actually, fun fact, one of the cats that my wife named that we have, her name is Zachary Binks. Of course, we call her Binks.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a good movie. I liked it a lot as a kid growing up too.
Yeah, I don't know if I had watched it as an adult if I would have enjoyed it, but definitely as a kid, it definitely hit that sweet spot for me, and it was an enjoyable movie, and partially because of that, I still enjoy it to this day. But yeah, I had to throw it in there because it is one of your classic Halloween movies, even though it's definitely not a horror movie. It is definitely a classic Halloween movie.
Yeah, having the Sanderson sisters was a good story for them. And then in the second one, it kind of like comes around for the story of them again. It's it's really good. I like it. That's a good one. That's a good number 10.
I say, to be honest, I can't really give you a good reason why I've never watched the second one. I just haven't. I don't know. I think like
All
my
right.
wife was just like so. She really, really wanted to watch it, and it was one of those where I'm like, you can go ahead and watch it on your own. You don't have to wait for me.
Oh yeah.
And so like I just never went back to it, you know what I mean? I'll have to watch it this Halloween.
Yeah, you have to make a time for it and go, hey, let's watch this.
What is that? Disney Plus, right?
Probably.
So I think it was on Disney Plus.
I don't.
Maybe next weekend after our busy weekend this weekend, maybe next weekend, I'll sit her down and say, "Hey, let's watch it."
I bet she'll be surprised.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't have a problem. Like, we'll occasionally watch the original one, and like, I have no problem watching. You know what I mean? Like, I still enjoy it. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe she might not be so surprised,
Okay,
but she may.
let me know. Um,
Yeah.
my number 10 is Night of the Living Dead, the original,
Oh man, that's up there pretty high.
plus the remake of Barbara.
What do you mean the remake of Barbara? What is that? What it's called?
I
Or
think
you're just making a
I
reference?
think it might be. Yeah, can't remember the name of it.
Okay, the only like Romero remakes that I really remember were actually just called the same name. Like they did the Day of the Dead. I think they did Dawn of the Dead too. Is that the one with Leguizamo, where like the zombies are like, what's the word? Sentient? Is that the word?
Yeah,
Where they
they
kind of
were
have.
smart.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate that one, but that one was all right. But yeah, Barbara, here I am with all the information I could ever want at my fingertips, and I'm asking questions.
Night of the Living Dead, 1990. It's the same title.
90. Oh, okay. Yep. For a long time, I got these two confused. I thought this one was the original.
Oh, no, this
For
is
a long
not.
time, I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
It's got a Candyman.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
And this version of it, the one with Barbara actually like surviving,
Yeah.
was really well done. I like it. I like the original and I like the remake. So both of them together, Night of the Living Dead, fantastic movie for Halloween,
Oh, yeah.
feeling you want to watch a zombie movie, either one of them, amazing.
So you can't go wrong with zombie movies. Besides Warm Bodies, that movie is garbage.
I know you're just trolling because you've never seen it.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
I don't have
uh,
to see it
uh,
to know it's
uh, uh,
garbage.
uh,
It's a romantic comedy. Come on.
about what? About zombies. Yes, that's right.
About romance? I don't know. I
Ye-
don't know.
Zombies.
It
Yeah.
is a waste of time. What
Well,
a piece of
guess
garbage.
what you're going to be watching tomorrow?
Mm.
Warm Bodies. Yep.
I don't know about that.
Well, don't worry. We'll be talking about that later.
I was gonna say, yeah, maybe we'll talk about that one.
So, did you ever enjoy Night of the Living Dead, or am I the only one?
The original one, I thoroughly enjoyed.
Which
It
one
is definitely
are you considering the original?
the black and white. It was black and
Okay.
white, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The black and white one, I really really liked. Like I said, I thought the 1990 ones. I think the 1990 one. I think that one I watched first,
Yeah.
just like a couple other movies, like what Assault on Precinct 13. I watched a remake and then realized, oh well, this is a remake, and watched the original, which never finished that whole thing.
Yeah.
And like even The Thing is a great example. That's not the original Thing. The Kurt Russell version is a remake.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I was ever able to get a hold of the original one to watch it, or I've just never been able to find it. But I mean, I did enjoy the original one even more. And I think it was partially because of kind of like the timing in which it was made,
Mm-hmm.
kind of just the environment and the way things were was different, totally different than, the way it is now, even so in the 90s when they redid it. But I think I enjoyed that original one more. I don't know why. It just had a strange feeling to it that I just really, really enjoyed. And the black and white aspect of it, I did like. I thought that kind of like Clerks.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of added something, just a little bit extra to it that I thought was enjoyable.
So in the original one, there was always just the one scene that was just cinematic and it made no sense for a zombie movie. Was that little girl with the spade?
Been a really long time since I watched it.
She's in the basement. I think she kills her mom or something like that. And I can't remember if she had braces or not, but like the mom's taking care of her daughter in the basement and she's sick. And then all of a sudden
It's
she comes to
definitely ringing a
life,
bell.
grabs a
Yeah,
spade, then kills her mom with it instead of like, the normal zombie attacking type thing.
yeah, like eating her brains. Come on,
Right.
gotta eat brains when you're a zombie. Just chew her up.
Yeah, there was none of that zombiness. So That's the only gripe I had was that they went cinematography instead of zombie cannon type stuff. But I guess latent memories of picking up a spade and shoveling. I don't
I mean, sometimes you got to try something different. Maybe that's what they did. Maybe he didn't really like it after he did it. But,
Yeah.
sometimes you got to try it.
What is your number 9?
So my number 9, a little bit of a gem that I don't think most people have heard of, and hopefully anyone that hears this will go out and watch it. It is called The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Let's see, I forgot when it was made. Let me Autopsy of 2016. So it's not as old as I thought it was. I thought it was older than that. But it's basically about a guy and his son where they are morticians, and there's a murder victim that comes into their morgue with some very unusual things going on with the body based on the time of death. And the story that unfolds as they're going forth on with this autopsy of this person is a very unusual story, and it's kind of out there and it's very supernatural, but the way they kind of went about it, and if I do recall, kind of it's kind of one of those Tarantino style to where they kind of show you things that have already happened, but
Mm-hmm.
then they kind of go back and kind of explain it in a way. And like I might be slightly misremembering it, but if I do recall, that's kind of what happened, and the way it unfolds, it kind of has that feeling. It's a very interesting and very different movie. And it's definitely something that I don't think a lot of people. It's got the guy from Speed Racer. E- I
Oh,
don't know how to pronounce his name. Emile Hirsch, Hirsch,
okay.
but it's the guy that played Speed Racer, and his dad is played by Brian Cox. Name doesn't sound familiar, but I know the guy. He's in a lot of stuff. He's a fairly popular, or I guess famous, like actor,
Mm-hmm.
and like they're both really really good in it, and it's just a very unusual supernatural style story told in a very interesting way. And the more that they kind of unravel and the more that you kind of find out about it, it just kind of they do a good job at pulling you in more and more and more and getting you really involved with the story and what's actually going on. It's a super interesting movie. If you maybe we'll watch that instead.
Not likely.
Come on.
It's just like a murder mystery type thing.
No, not at all.
Oh.
It's very heavy supernatural, unusual events, and the more they uncover, the more strange it gets. But the more strange it gets, the more they kind of reveal aspects of the story that just kind of keep you engaged to where you're almost on the edge to where you're like, well, this is almost stupid. But then they give you just enough to where you're like, well, wait a minute, it's starting to make a little bit of sense. And
Okay.
then, they give you a little bit more and you're like, okay, like I want to know more. It's just the pacing is very good in my opinion, and it definitely stimulated me and kept me interested.
Hmm. Okay. The way you're describing it, I'm getting like From vibes.
From is its own type of thing. Like I've never seen anything like that show, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but that's the
And
way you're describing it is that more gets shown and then more of the supernatural things keep happening and it gets more and more over the top.
uh, I wouldn't say over the top. Like they definitely give you good solid answers to things that are kind of like somewhat normal things, but then they kind of slowly unravel the supernatural aspects behind some of these things, and they do a really good job at answering just as many questions as they give you. So it's like they might kind of do some stuff where you have a couple questions and then they'll answer a couple of those questions, but then you're still like, well, what about this? What about that? And they just do a good job at creating questions, but also answering those questions in a way that does keep you engaged. And you're not kind of shut off and like, oh, well, now I'm just not interested anymore.
Yeah.
Personally, my opinion, I think they did a very good job at kind of unraveling the story in the right way that keeps you engaged, but also kind of keeps you on the edge. Like this could all, like this movie could be completely, it could be complete garbage. Like you kind of feel like you kind of get a lot of the answers at the end, but how you don't know how well those answers are going to come out. And when they do, I was very satisfied with the way they did it and kind of the things that they kept kind of to themselves. I felt like it worked and it was
So,
kind of an appropriate way.
like until the reveal, you enjoyed the journey.
Absolutely. But there were definitely times during the journey that I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe this isn't going to be good.
yeah.
But
Okay.
right as it kind of got to its peak of me thinking that, they started giving me more that I was like, all right, they're starting to kind of give me a little bit to where I'm more interested again. Like I'm not thinking that it's going to be bad. I'm like, all right, they're starting to answer the right questions in the right way, that they're not giving everything away, but I am still thoroughly engaged.
Okay. Well, let's move on to my number 9, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Hmm.
So, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow in
Yeah.
cartoon form is awesome.
Oh, okay.
I love watching it every year. I like the music. I like the animation. Ichabod is silly. It's awesome.
That is definitely one of those, like I've definitely seen it
Yeah.
and it's definitely on at points and times probably throughout the year, probably around Halloween,
Yeah, for
but it's
sure.
also like I'm not too focused on it. It's been a while since I really paid a lot of attention to it, but I do remember enjoying it as a kid. It's definitely entertaining.
Yeah, it's one of those right there with Night of the Living Dead that I'll just watch every Halloween. Grab the
Hmm.
kids, the wife, we'll just have some popcorn and we'll watch Ichabod. 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 And then it's like paranoia is just getting a hold of him. He's like, oh crap, what's going on? And then he starts freaking out.
How would you compare it to the was it Johnny Depp version? Wasn't it Johnny Depp?
Yes. So the Johnny Depp version makes it more gruesome, I guess you would
I
say.
would say it's a bit darker, right?
Yeah. It definitely feels like a Tim Burton type of movie where they're just taking the weird to go weirder.
Is it not though?
Um,
Because it definitely has that vibe. Like I can get the comparison, but I feel like I've always just thought it was.
yeah, I don't know actually.
Yeah, actually, here I am again with all the answers at my fingertips.
Nope.
That one was called Sleepy Hollow, right?
Yeah, it's a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, really. Yep. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and
That makes sense now.
Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman. That's awesome.
See, I didn't know that because I got to be honest, I've never seen it in its entirety.
Oh,
I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never watched the whole thing.
that's another one I watch almost every Halloween as well. It's not on my list because I already have them in the cartoon form, but
Yeah.
yeah, we watched that Johnny Depp Sleepy Hollow movie It's really well done. If you like the creepy kind of like random gore thing happening,
Gore doesn't bother me.
yeah, but it's just kind of surprising. It feels kind of like Shaun of the Dead with the gore that just pops up. Like all of a sudden they're like doing something, then it cuts to somebody like warming up a can of beans and then gets stabbed in the chest or their head cut off or something. That
Yeah.
Sleepy Hollow's kind of like that. It reminds me of that kind of like cuts.
Say I've definitely seen some of the goriest movies out there, and I was a big Gore fan for quite a while in my youth.
Hmm.
Not to say I'm not still now. Like a good gore fest is entertaining, but when you try to do too much and you really go over the top, you kind of lose me. But if it's done in the right way, and I don't know how to explain what that right way is, but yeah, you can tell when people are just trying to do like gore porn, and it's like, I'm not interested in just seeing gore to see gore. If there's a purpose behind it,
Hmm.
all right, it's that creativity of doing something like that. And I mean, if it sounds like it's kind of along those lines,
It is. It
maybe I'll
is.
have to check it out.
Yeah, each person's kind of dying to a purpose. It's not just like everyone's getting massacred type of thing.
Hmm.
So, what is your
Like I,
number eight?
ah, so number 8 is, I think, another little gem that I don't think enough people know about. It's a werewolf movie called Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldier.
Oh, you don't know Dog Soldiers?
It sounds like something
All
I've
right.
heard of, but
So, Dog Soldiers is actually a Swedish movie. It was made in 2002. Oh, wow, that's a lot older than I thought. And so, basically, what it is this group of soldiers. They're on like a training mission. And during this training mission, they come upon this house. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I can't really recall. But they end up coming across this house, and it's like, oh, there's these creatures outside, and we got to protect ourselves. And one of the reasons why this movie really sticks out, just as a good horror and werewolf movie in general, is the effects, the transition, and the appearance of the werewolf in the werewolf form.
hmm.
Like, the effects are phenomenal, and it is practical. I'm sure there's some CGI here and there that's kind of intertwined, but for the most part, I mean, it's like it's dudes in costumes, and these costumes look amazing. They're some of the best werewolf effects and like design of the creature that I personally think I've ever seen. I really, really, really like it. And and to be honest, like, other countries do a lot better job at making horror movies than we do here in America. To be honest, I'm surprised this movie hasn't already been butchered by some Hollywood director in America.
I
But I mean, it is phenomenal for the effects alone. And
do like a
just kind of
good
like,
werewolf movie.
oh yeah, it's up there with, like, in my opinion, like American Werewolf in Paris, and like, was the other one? What's the one before that? Is American Werewolf in London?
Well, I don't
Or no, wait.
remember.
Oh gosh, there was, because I think American Werewolf in Paris is actually or not a remake. It's kind of a somewhat of a sequel. Let's check. American. I wish I could type faster. Okay, yeah. So American Werewolf in London is the original 1981, and American Werewolf in Paris is 1997. So I remember like I watched American Werewolf in Paris, and then I realized it was kind of, I don't think it's a direct sequel. I think it's just like a loosely affiliated type of thing. And that's when I went back and watched an American Werewolf in London. And that movie, the transition of the werewolf was like a big deal in this movie because of course, you're talking 80s, it's as practical as you can get, and it looks really great for what they did.
Hmm.
And this movie Dog Soldiers really kind of gives me that same vibe, and it really kind of reminds me of it, and it's just phenomenal. It's probably, like I said, it's some of the best like werewolf designs when it comes to the actual overall creature after the transformation is done. And there's a couple little twists here and there that I guess you could maybe say it's somewhat predictable, but at the same time, like, it's still super fun. It's so enjoyable, and I think it definitely deserves more play than it really got. It's phenomenal.
Okay, very nice. I like that. Um, my number 8 is Dawn of the Dead, the remake. I
Let me see.
have never seen the original.
What?
I know. I know. I have never
Shame.
seen the original. I like the remake, and I like all the games and things made after that movie. Like uh Dead Rising was all in a mall.
Yeah,
Left 4
yep.
Dead, they had a mall battle. Um, Having that like barricade yourself in to try and survive kind of like movie was very cool. Seeing people interact with each other, trying to just like not go crazy and try to survive was interesting.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we gotta get out of here. We gotta go somewhere else. But I don't know why. They just needed to have a better plan, I think. I think there could be like different directors do different things to try and make their own versions of it, which would be really awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you want to stay true to the original, kind of the original story, original concept, but you do have to do a little something different.
Yeah,
You just
I would have
you
liked it.
can't go too crazy.
I would have liked it. I don't think they could go too crazy enough. If a different director wanted to take it and go, listen, we are not going to do fast zombies. We're going to do horde zombies. So we're just going to mob the snot out of the mall where there's so many that they go onto the roof, just piling up on each other. Kind of like what was
Like,
happening to the ammo guy, you know?
yes, yeah, yeah. I do have to be honest with you on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a really big fan of that movie. There's a couple things in it that I really don't like. Uh,
Like what?
my wife, well, see, that's the thing. I don't watch it regularly because I don't really like it. So I don't like. There was something about like, um, there
Fry.
is one of the.
Fry. Come on.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's one of the character. Okay, so Mackay Pfeiffer. He is in. He's one of the characters, and his wife is pregnant, and they do like a weird zombie baby thing
Yeah,
that I just hated. I
sure.
did not like at all. And there's multiple scenarios of stuff like that
Yeah.
that I just really didn't like.
Okay. So they were trying something. It didn't work because it's freaking weird.
Yeah, it didn't work for me, but like, yeah, like I just said, I will give them credit for kind of, you don't want to do carbon copy, but you don't want to veer too far from the original story. So I will give them credit for kind of doing something different, but I wasn't a huge fan, especially compared to the original. Been a very long time since I've seen the original, but
Oh, Zack
I
Snyder
mean,
made it.
yeah, I was just even looking that. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Okay.
But I mean, my wife does really enjoy that one, which kind of hurts my soul a little bit because, like I said, I'm a
Oh,
huge fan of the original, and I don't think it really compares to the original in any way, shape, or form.
I'm okay with that because I never seen the original. It was really
Ah, it's a
well
shame.
done.
It's a lot of disappointment on this end.
That's okay. I'll leave it there.
Oh, it's not okay.
And what is your number seven?
Number seven is Night of the Living Dead,
Oh, there it is.
the original.
Okay.
I do, like I said, I watched the, well, 90, 91, I think it was 90.
90, yeah.
Um,
Remake.
I, yeah, I do enjoy that one. And again, I watched that one first and then realized it was a remake and was like, oh, I got to watch the original.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think the black and white aspect of it, for me, I don't know why. I can't explain it or how. Like, but I really like that aspect. It really kind of was something different for me. Like maybe it's the fact that, you know, I'm kind of from an older generation where black and white's not the normal thing that you would see in movies. And I just think it kind of added something to it that I really, really enjoyed. It was kind of like that. You're not relying on like the bright red blood for dramatic effect. And it's like, but it still had that effect for me.
Yeah.
Like it was still a very dramatic and, or I guess, traumatic type of experience, even with the lack of color. Like it still had that impact.
Yeah,
And the fact that,
it was a storytelling of it.
yeah, yeah, the fact that you can have that impact without the added visualization, you could kind of visualize it yourself. You didn't need it to be presented to you. I think that's part of what made it so good for me. And again, like the end, like we've talked about this in previous episodes,
Mm-hmm.
the end, I knew the dude was not a zombie. You know what I mean? Never once did I think like, oh, he looks like a zombie to me.
Okay.
And so it's like the dude kind of kills him, and it's like he took the opportunity to kill him knowing he wasn't a zombie. And he could just be like, oh well, he was a zombie, don't worry about it. And that had a very big impact on me, especially younger, and the time that it, I mean, I think it was probably, like I said, it was mid 90s when I had watched it. And that kind of, it resonated with me quite a bit, especially because, I mean, it was made, well, I think I saw it said 70, 72.
Mm-hmm.
No, 78, I think is what I saw. Uh, oh, no, 68. The original one was even earlier than that. I thought it was 70. I think that was Dawn of the Dead that I was looking at.
Okay.
But yeah, that's definitely, it's a great movie. It just in general, it's so phenomenal. I absolutely love that movie. But Romero is a horror king. May he rest in peace.
Do not disagree with you. That is an awesome movie.
I
Ma-
just can't believe you had it so high on your list. Should have been a little lower.
yeah. Oh well. My number seven.
Hey, Wolf, what's your number seven?
28 days and weeks later.
Nope, not fair.
What do you mean not fair?
You got to pick. You got to pick one or the other.
Oh. So I'm picking 28 days, weeks later.
28 what?
Days, weeks later.
28 days?
Weeks later. Yeah.
All right, 28 days. Yeah, I heard you clearly.
So 28 days, weeks later is an awesome kind of like virus spreading, causing this like rage virus uh to just go crazy. It's so good.
What do you think?
of the bite, blood transmission causes the virus to spread. Don't get bit. Run away from him as fast as possible. Uh, it's kind of like where the original idea for The Walking Dead appeared from the TV show is basically that beginning scene,
Yeah, yep. I'm following you. It took me a second, but it started clicking.
which is like iconic now in The Walking Dead of him waking up from a coma and all this craziness is just happening of what's going on? Why are these people chasing me? Why is this person attacking me?
Yeah.
So good.
I definitely like, I think they're both really good. And I will say, I really love the fact that you did emphasize the virus aspect of it because, yes, it essentially is a zombie film. But, again, we've had this discussion.
Uh,
Fast, quick
they
zombies, that's a virus.
consistently call it virus in that movie, so I'm going to call it virus.
Yes.
Even though fast
Yes.
zombies are a thing.
They are a thing, but they would be wrong.
No? We already
Early
had
on
this discussion.
transition. Yes,
Left
we
4
have. Early
Dead
on transition.
running.
That's a video game.
Yeah, still zombies.
Yeah, but you got to make a video game engaging. So them being slow is not enough. So that's a little different.
Uh, DayZ has zombies.
That you can argue DayZ is more of an infection style movie as well because because like the whole thing is them getting to this infectious disease lab.
No, I was talking about the game. Sorry, should have been clear about
Oh,
that.
okay.
Where
Okay.
they
Well,
took
even
the
again,
Arma 3 game, modded it, turned it into a survival simulator with zombies roaming around.
I mean, again, I'm going to give a little more leeway with the game because you can't have super slow zombies in a game without something extra. And that's a way just to make a straight up shooter with zombies.
Mm-hmm.
So a game, I'll allow fast zombies in a game. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'll allow the word zombie. I'm okay with it.
Okay, I'm glad you approve. But the way the movie approached it, it was people that got this rage virus that lose all their like composure mentality and just turn into like these angry rage zombie people.
Now, have you heard? I've heard there's talks of a 28 years
Oh, I
later.
so want to watch it. I would love to watch a 28 weeks or years later movie.
I'm definitely interested in seeing a trailer, and I hope it looks good.
I would watch it. I'd watch it anyways. I'd probably buy it. Yep, I'd probably buy it anyways.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Even if the trailer doesn't look good, it is something like, hey, sometimes trailers aren't great. That
Yes.
doesn't mean the movie's not. So yeah, like I'm looking forward to seeing what they could possibly do with it.
Yeah.
And I hope, what's his name? Killian Murphy? Yeah. I hope he's in it. I hope he comes back. If he doesn't come back, it's gonna be difficult.
Yes.
But
I agree. But we'll have to have a discussion about trailers some other time, like how they ruined Terminator for me.
yeah, Genesis is not a bad movie, but they
Oh,
really did destroy it with
so
that
so
trailer.
bad. Those people should be all fired.
There was a lot about that I enjoyed, but yeah, the trailer definitely destroyed any element of surprise that
Yeah,
they could have really made an
the
impact
whole
with.
movie. The whole movie
Yeah,
they
yeah,
ruined it. Ugh.
absolutely did.
All
And
right.
that's what the sad part is. It's not bad. It's a
Yeah,
decent movie.
it's
It's
an
good.
okay movie. It is.
Yeah,
And then the
yeah,
surprise is like ruined because you watch the trailer.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, your number six.
All right, my number six is actually something that we've watched recently.
Oh boy.
The Thing. That is one of my classic go-to movies in general, and I definitely watch it around the Halloween holidays for sure.
That is
One
such
of the best.
a weird movie.
Oh, it's so phenomenal. It's such a great creature feature type of deal, and the practical effects I just absolutely love. Even the parts of it that look a little goofy, it just still looks so much better than CGI in my mind, and I love it. I love that movie.
Yes, if you like a creature horror movie, that would kind of fit the bill. But if you're
Absolutely.
wanting to enjoy a horror movie, I would not say to watch The Thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue it's more of a suspense, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely horror. I mean,
it
it's
does.
a,
It
it's
does
a,
have horror elements in it. Yes, and it is
oh
a
yeah, it's
creature movie.
absolutely.
But I guess I wouldn't personally recommend The Thing as a.
Come on, how could you not?
You want a creature movie? Watch this one. But I wouldn't say you want to watch a horror movie. I wouldn't say The Thing.
The Void is a good creature feature style movie. That's a good one. It's a very unusual movie though. Very weird.
The one I liked is The Blob.
The Blob is very entertaining.
It was
It's a good one.
from the Tales from the Crypt, I think, like
I thought
volume
it,
2 or something like that.
I thought it was its own thing.
No, there was this other one that was like uh the Blob from it's like from a lake or something like that, and it was
Huh.
in Tales of the Crypt.
Yeah. Blob. Yeah, well, that didn't pull up anything for me, but I'm not very good at Google searches.
I'll have to send it to you later. Uh,
Yeah, definitely.
but your thing, movie. So you enjoy it very highly then.
It's definitely on my list of one of the best movies out there. It's very highly recommended in my opinion, and I absolutely love it. And I'm a huge Kurt Russell fan,
Yeah,
and I think he's great in it. I love the effects. It's phenomenal.
very nice. All right.
What do you got for six?
So my number six is The Night Eats the World.
Hmm, that doesn't even ring a bell.
I'm pretty sure you've seen it. I think I recommended it to you.
Oh, the cover art looks super familiar. Don't know if I ever watched it or not, but I know that cover, which is what everybody is looking at right now. So hopefully they recognize it too.
Probably not. I don't know if too many people have seen it. Um,
I feel like it was heavily advertised enough that a lot of people would recognize the poster, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's another zombie movie, which, if you haven't noticed the trend of my horror movies that I enjoy, it's zombie. Uh,
Can't go wrong with a good zombie flick.
so this one is kind of like he's isolated in an apartment and the world goes to zombie death and he's kind of like just trying to survive in his apartment, right? And so he's
I
going
think
to
you're right.
like
I think I have seen it.
different
It's ringing a big bell.
different like rooms in the apartment.
Yep.
He eventually does stupid stuff like go out to the street, but in the, at the end of the day, he stays in his apartment, and then he keeps like pushing the boundaries because he's just like, there's no one else here, so he just keeps pushing it and pushing it, and it's just a
Yeah.
like interesting take on zombies because they have this like loop they're stuck in. So the last things they were saying, they kind of keep saying.
I've definitely watched this one. Yeah. Now, I think I'm confusing it with what was it, the Train to Busan prequel that was
Okay.
similar, where a guy was kind of in an apartment building. But
Yeah.
yeah, what you're saying is definitely ringing bells for something that I've seen before, and I do remember enjoying it.
Yeah. It fantastic. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, 2018 too. It's a fairly new movie. But I get distracted too easily. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's that's why I don't pull up IMDb and all that stuff because then I get distracted.
What is your number five?
Number five for me is a bit of a classic. I think most people would say it's a classic. The Lost Boys.
Okay.
Like I think it's one of the better modern-ish vampire movies. When I
Mm-hmm.
say modern, like when it was made, it was modern. Now it's old.
It's really old. Yeah.
But yeah, but at the time, it was like the modern interpretation of a vampire movie. And I mean, it had a lot of great talent in it. I mean, it had didn't it have both? Yeah, it had both Corys, had the Corys in it. Uh, Kiefer Sutherland, which is he's phenomenal. I mean, I can't think of a single movie that he's not good in. He's just I like him a lot. It's just in it's a super entertaining movie. And fun fact, my mother-in-law's dog is named after the dog in The Lost Boys.
Oh yeah.
Yep. His name is Nanook for anyone that is curious. I call him Nook. He's an adorable. I love that dog. He's a great little dog. But anyways, we're talking about Lost Boys.
Yeah.
But it's a phenomenal one. What do you got for number five? Is it along the same lines?
Yeah. It's another great one. Warm Bodies.
Oh, that's garbage.
Uh, so I would weigh your opinion on a scale of haven't seen it and saying nonsense.
All right, I'll give it a chance. We'll watch it.
It is so funny. So it's a zombie movie with a love romance thing in it, and it's it's a story where the love interest brings the human nature out of the zombie again. So
Okay.
it kind of like makes him feel human feelings, even though he's dead.
Yeah. I will say, when the trailers of that and it first kind of started being exposed as a movie, like, hey, this is the movie we're making, I was like very intrigued, very interested. But I will admit I'm biased. When the whole it's a love story started coming out, I'm like, never mind.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna give it a shot. We'll watch that one. I'll
yeah.
give it a shot.
You definitely poo-pooed it too soon. It's a funny zombie movie.
That's fair. That's probably accurate. I'll give it a shot.
What is your number four?
So my number four is another one of those movies I believe we have watched.
Uh huh.
Um, It's kind of another one of those creature feature style movies. It is Leviathan with RoboCop himself.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What Peter Weller? That's what it is, Peter Weller.
Yeah.
And it also has the phenomenal Ernie Hudson. Oh wait,
Was he in it?
yep, Uh, yep, Ernie Hudson. Name was Justin Jones. Had Peter Weller. Had his name is Daniel Stern, the wet bandit from Home Alone.
Yeah.
Also had Hector Elizondo, which the name doesn't sound familiar, but his face, he's another one of those actors where you see his face and you're like, I know that guy. He's in a ton of stuff. He's not like an A-list actor. Like he's that good, but he's never been that like main character type of thing. But you see him in a lot of stuff and you're like, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah.
But like it's an awesome story. It's kind of like a might be a bad comparison, but it's kind of like a mix between like The Thing and Alien, but however many thousands of feet or miles under the ocean. They're basically on the ocean floor, like looking for, I think it's like some sort of mineral or something like that.
Yeah.
And they come across like a sunken ship, and somebody basically like smuggles some alcohol out of like the stuff they find in the ship, and that basically spreads this virus, a thing type virus.
Thing type
And it's
creature. Yep.
yeah, and it's phenomenal. Peter Weller is great. I mean, he's another one of those. I can't think of anything he did that I didn't think he was at least great in. And again, I think it's kind of underrated. I think more people should know about it. And I mean, I don't know how it did when it came out. It is an older movie. It's from 1989, but it's definitely something that I think even to this day should be watched and it would be enjoyed because it's a very phenomenal movie.
I like this better than the thing.
All
So
right,
I'm
all right.
glad it's higher on your list.
It it's definitely it's higher on my list be, because it's such a hidden gem. I feel like The Thing has a lot of exposure, a lot of people know about it, but I feel like Leviathan is one of those that people look at you and they have no clue what you're talking about. And it's definitely a really, really great movie.
Yeah, it is good. My number 4 is Train to Busan.
Phenomenal movie.
Another zombie.
Yeah,
Korean, I think,
I think you're right.
and
Or what?
it's just like the startings of a zombie breakout. So it's like it barely happened. It started already, and then people are just like on the what is it, like a subway train, and
Yeah, like a
they're
bullet train or
a
something.
bullet train type thing, and they're just going along, and it's like, what would happen if the outbreak happened on a train? And then it's like,
Yeah.
well, people start going to other cars and blocking off entrances, so they're trying to stay to their own car. And it's like, okay, what happens when they get to a station? And it's just such a good ride. It's crazy, depressing ending. Zombie, you feel the doom and gloom of a zombie apocalypse. Train to Busan, awesome movie.
Yeah, it is South Korean,
Okay,
and it is definitely one of those few. I'll straight up say it is a zombie movie, even though they are fast zombies. This is
yeah.
one of those few exceptions where I will not, I won't be, what's the word? I won't pick it apart too much. I will allow, I will go against my own beliefs and say that this is definitely a zombie
Oh
movie
yes.
because it's just the way they did it was so phenomenal. It's a really great movie. I'm actually really disappointed in myself that it didn't pop in my head to be on my list because
Yes.
it's it is phenomenal. It is definitely a great one. And even I think I, the the like prequel they did was one of those like in
Yeah.
an apartment. What was it called? Alive? Is that what it was? I think it was called Alive.
Um, so they did a prequel and then they did Alive. So Alive is kind of like an offshoot in the same universe.
Okay, kind of like a spin-off type deal.
Yes. And then they did a
Okay.
prequel of Train to Busan.
I feel like I did watch that one, but yeah, that's definitely it's a phenomenal one. It's a really good one. The
So
South Koreans movies are a lot of them are really phenomenal. They do a really good job.
I think the prequel was done in animation, which was awesome, except for the last 15 minutes of that was just terrible. And then they
Hmm.
created like a sequel, I think, to Train to Busan, and it's like another point of view of after the apocalypse and what happened, which was okay, but it wasn't nearly as good as Train to Busan.
I would say yeah, Train to Busan is definitely they had some really good like kind of like I guess you would call it like a zombie attack scene
Hmm.
that just was really well done
Oh yeah,
and really you could tell a lot of it was probably done CGI, but it doesn't take you out of it. Like I'm still really like invested in it and it doesn't change things for me while watching it. I'm still thoroughly into it. It's a phenomenal one.
good. What is your number three?
So my number 3 is one of the first movies that I watched way younger than I should have been watching that I probably wasn't allowed to. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It is not number one, but it is one of my favorite. Is The Exorcist.
Okay.
I absolutely love that movie. I think it does a phenomenal job at just completely creeping out the audience without going to extremely like graphic or gory type of scenes.
Hmm.
Like it does have some moments that are a little like the pea soup vomit. Yeah, it's not gory, but I could see people kind of being squeamish with it. But it's like it's just it's phenomenal, and the whole idea of kind of that good versus evil, and this innocent child is being taken over by this demon, and the way they tell the story and the way it unravels with this single mother trying to figure out what's going on with her daughter and the aspect of like the medical field side of it. It's really good. It's really good storytelling, really good writing, and I mean you just don't see stuff like that anymore.
Yeah. I never seen it. It wasn't my vibe, and I had zero interest in watching it.
I do know a lot of people, the fact that it is kind of like a evil demon type of thing. I know a lot of people that refuse to even watch it because of that.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a very impactful film, and everybody in it is phenomenal. And there are stories about crazy things actually happening on set. And if I'm not mistaken, I think somebody died. I might be thinking about Poltergeist.
Yeah.
I think it was a very similar thing with Poltergeist. I think Poltergeist is where somebody died, but I do remember like there was a lot of crazy stories about accidents and just weird things that happened on set.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of those, because there are some cultures that kind of believe like just by watching something like that, you're almost inviting something into your home.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, so because of that aspect, I could understand people being apprehensive,
Hmm.
but ultimately it is just a movie
Hmm.
and it's very creepy. If you want to watch a good horror movie that will definitely give you the heebie-jeebies, it's The Exorcist. It's definitely up there.
Okay. Well, my number three is a fantastic horror
Trace.
movie, World War Z. Fast zombies
Mm. Mm.
piling on top of each other, taking over the world. People can't deal with it because they move so fast. They have to like barricade themselves in the house. They got to be quiet. They can't trigger it, or otherwise they trigger the horde. It is an awesome movie.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was nice to see Brad Pitt because I mean we all love Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is a good actor.
Yeah.
It was cool to see him in that kind of role because to my knowledge you never really seen him in anything like that before. But I have one big gripe that I
Okay.
cannot get past with that movie that really irritates me.
What?
The chances of two people surviving a
Oh,
plane crash is
jeez.
astronomical. And not just surviving, but being conscious and walking away from it. Yeah,
Well,
they're injured, but come on.
he was impaled. He was limping away from it. He wasn't like
Yeah, he was
doing
injured,
jumping
but not.
jacks.
I mean, still. I mean, in a plane crash, nobody's going to survive. Statistically, that's not realistic, and it really bothered me. I ignore it and I do enjoy the movie,
Uh huh.
but it's so hard when that scene comes on. I'm just like, oh gosh, here we go.
Yeah.
They would die. They would die. Not impaled, not injured. They would die.
Okay. There are no zombies for real, and it's a zombie movie. I can look past it.
You got a point. I hate to admit it.
What is your number two?
My number two, again, I guess I kind of focus on the creature feature aspects of it.
Okay.
I, I don't think a lot of people really know about it, but it's definitely something people have heard, but maybe not watched. It's Pumpkinhead.
Okay.
So you do know Pumpkinhead.
I do. I haven't watched it.
Oh, you never seen it?
Uh-uh.
It's it's very weird. Um, it is definitely not for everyone, I will say, but I definitely think it should be given a shot. You know what I mean? It's got Lance Hendrickson in it, which to me is a horror icon. He's phenomenal. From Alien. Oh gosh, there's so much stuff that I'm just blanking on with him. But it's the creature itself is phenomenal. I think the creature itself is one of the creepiest kind of because it's basically like a demon that he summons to get revenge on a group of people that he feels did him wrong. And then after all is said and done and it kind of starts to happen, he kind of realizes like I've kind of made a mistake and he tries to kind of do what he can to stop it. But just the creature in general, it was one of the few things as a kid that legitimately scared me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I never really got horror or I never really got nightmares from horror movies or anything like that, but this creature gave me nightmares. It terrified me. It looks legitimately creepy and it's just again, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect movie. I would say it's great. Most people probably wouldn't. But it's the creature itself is just phenomenal. It's amazing. I love it so much that just just seeing the creature on screen, the whole movie could be a trash dumpster fire, but that creature is so impactful and just has such a presence that it's awesome. I loved it and it's always stuck with me ever since I watched it. I think I was fairly young when I watched it and I think that scared me more than The Exorcist did.
Mm-hmm.
And The Exorcist is actually pretty terrifying if you think about it. But it's a must watch for any horror movie fan.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Okay.
What
Well,
what is your dose?
my number two is Shaun of the Dead.
I gotta get on you a little bit for popping that in on a horror, but it's a great movie, so I'm with you.
It's comedy horror. So
It leans heavy on comedy, but I won't argue with you.
it
You're not
does,
wrong.
but it's again another zombie movie.
Yeah, true. Sounds like you got a theme going.
I know I should have just said top 10 zombie movies.
Yeah, what's our top 10 zombie?
So Shaun of the Dead, we've talked about it before. The movie's hilarious. It's comedy. It's two buddies trying to survive a zombie apocalypse. Comedy ensues. Uh, it's just amazing movie.
We'll just basically reiterate everything we just said on the Cornetto episode.
Yeah, yep. What
Is
is your number one?
so my number one is one of those movies where they've made a ton of them. They've made like 20 of these movies. But I
What?
will say, yeah, they've made a lot. And I will say 98% of them are garbage. Now, the first two are phenomenal. The Hellraiser.
Oh,
The
okay.
yeah, the first one is so drastically different from all of them. The first one is basically like this woman is basically cheating on her husband, or I think she's sleeping with like her husband's brother, and something happens where her brother dies. And in order to like, she ends up, something happens where she ends up like basically bringing him back to life through a bloody mattress. And in order for this to happen, he has to basically eat people to regenerate his his physical body, his bones, his muscles, his skin. And it starts with this, like, he is literally like a skeletal, muscular type of, like, imagine somebody without skin, and he's slowly regenerating his body by eating these people. And she's basically, trying to seduce these men, bring them back to her home so that he can eat them. And the the daughter basically gets involved, and this demon Pinhead
Mm-hmm.
is brought back from the dead to seek revenge. And, well, not seek revenge, it's kind of like a, he's there to collect souls. And she's basically like, well, I can give you something better, I can give you this person. And even the second one is kind of similar but different in the same way. Like the second one, it's like that girl ends up in an insane asylum, and similar events kind of start happening, but they play out in a different type of scenario, in a different, in this insane asylum, different location type of thing.
Yeah.
Everything after that is just so drastically different from the source material that it gets worse and worse and worse and worse as you go on. And again, it's another one of those. I watched the third one and I was very intrigued. And then I went back and found out, like, oh, I'm going to watch the original one. I'm going to watch the second one. And I realized how drastically different the first two were. And it was just like a whole new story. And the first two are just so great. And like I said, it gets pretty convoluted after that. It gets pretty silly. They even made they even made one called like Hellraiser Judgment.
Yeah.
That's just pure garbage, and they only did it so they could hold on to the rights to continue making them.
Yeah. Money grab.
Yeah, it was just like kind of like the Fantastic Four they made in the 90s. They didn't want to lose the rights, and
Yeah.
they had to make a movie, so they made a piece of garbage so they could keep it.
Right.
But that being said, like, I don't think the people that made it were trying to make a piece of garbage, but it ultimately was that. They went for shock factor, that gore porn type of thing, and it was just way too over the top, and it just didn't fit. It
Yeah.
was just bad. But
Okay.
they did make a remake a couple years ago, which actually turned out to be pretty decent. I thoroughly enjoyed it, where they did kind of a gender swap, but at the same time, in the original like lore of the character,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have a gender. It was a genderless type of entity. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a gender swap, but you could argue that it is.
Okay.
Let's see if your number one is better than mine.
I would say it is.
Mm.
Can you guess what it is?
It's definitely a zombie movie. It's
Yes.
just which one.
Yeah. What's left? You know.
Oh gosh. There's just so many of them, though.
There's. It has a 1 and a 2, so it was good enough to have a sequel.
Well, there's a lot of sequels that weren't good enough to have a sequel, but it had one. But it's a zombie movie, so.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Does it help if I
Yeah.
said it's kind of a comedy?
Oh, got the Dawn of the Dead. What year? Can you give me a generalized year? Maybe that'll help.
Mm, no, not off the top of my head. I can look it up real quick.
I was gonna say, tell me what it is. I'll look it up for you.
They made the quote "double tap" famous.
Mm. Which one did you like better, the first or the second?
Oh, the first, definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my wife's favorite zombie movies as well.
It's so good. It's hilarious. Comedy gold.
Why? Why am I blanking on the name?
Zombieland
Zombieland. I knew it was zombie something.
1 and 2.
All right, I'll give it to you.
So good. So good. I find that the comedy that they had mixed really well with like the design of how they did like his rules. They would just pop
Yeah.
up and it would
Yeah.
happen as whatever was happening. So it's like zombie cardio, and then he's running, and then it's like double tap or uh limber up, and like the words are moving.
Yeah.
Zombie kill of the
This
week.
the style in which they did that, it was definitely different and it definitely worked. It worked really well, but I do have to say, the first time I watched that movie, I did not like it very much at all. There was only one thing in it that saved it for me, and the more I've seen it over time, the more I've enjoyed it and realized that it's actually a really great movie. It is it is one of my wife's favorite zombie movies of all time.
Yeah.
But Bill Murray and the Ghostbusters scene is definitely a saving grace.
Yes.
Like them in the theater watching it and kind of his comments being made about it while they're watching it, like that put a big smile on my face. That kind of saved it for me. And had it not been for that, I might not have rewatched it.
Uh-huh.
But I could, had we had this conversation 10 years ago or more, I probably would be like, "Oh, I hate that movie."
Yeah.
But I definitely appreciate it for what it is. It's definitely worth being up there.
So they have a pilot episode that they tried to do. Like the director tried to make a TV show. But
I
where he went
thought I
wrong
heard
is
about that,
he used the characters' names, but didn't use the
but
same
different
actors.
actors.
Yes.
Yep, I do recall that now.
Huge, huge misstep. He should have just used
Yeah,
new character names and just made these characters separate from that universe.
yeah. Or
Sit,
just shelled out the money to get the original guys back.
no. If they wanted to do a TV show, I'm okay with them doing it with other people. Just don't call them the same people.
Yeah, that's true. That really takes you out of it.
Because then if you make a movie, they're going to be different actors.
Well, another good example of that, have you ever seen What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh, yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, like the movie is really, really great, but I
Yeah,
feel like part of the reason why it's so great is because the actors are so good in the roles.
they are.
So when they did the TV show and tried to do like the same people but with different actors, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, the problem is they didn't know the direction to make the show. And so each
Yeah.
episode in season 1 is just not well structured until they actually go, what are we going to try to make these characters do? What is their purpose? What is the arc? And then once they did that, and then season two was hilarious. Then you have
Oh,
like the energy drain vampire where he just is boring and drains everyone's energy.
yeah. I don't know how far. I did watch some of the series. I just don't remember how far I got into it. The fact that it was the same characters with different actors
Yeah.
was really hard for me to get past.
They were different characters. They weren't the same as the movie.
Oh, I thought they were supposed to be.
No, they're different.
Okay.
Because those
I,
zombies from the movie are actually in the TV show. They're like in the High Council of
they
Vampires.
were vampires. Yeah, they were vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe that's what it was. It wasn't that they were the same characters. Is that like having different actors? It just didn't work for me as well because, like I said, the people in that movie
Yeah.
really
They did. They
did
did an
such a good
amazing
job.
job. It was such a funny
Yeah,
movie.
like
Peter.
they definitely made that.
Peter.
Yeah,
Ah.
I gotta give Toby credit for that because he was like I'd heard about that, never watched it, never interested, and he kind of was like, "You have to watch it. You have to watch it. You've got to watch it." And I did watch it finally, and
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? You're right. Like yeah, it was great. It was great. But I mean, Zombieland is I even like the second one. The
I do
second
too.
Zombieland,
I
I
liked it
think I
too.
enjoyed it more than the first. I liked the story and the way they went with it. It was fun.
Uh, I didn't like that they didn't they set up all these zombies, right? We got the Hawkins, we got the Homer, we got all these zombies, but they only did them once, and then it was like done.
It's been a while since I've seen that one, but yeah,
Yeah, it was that part was annoying.
it's definitely one of those ones I would not be against a third one. It'd be
Yeah,
interesting if
for
it done
sure.
right
I
by the
wouldn't.
done.
I would totally
Yeah,
watch and buy a third one.
yeah, done right by the right people with the same actors. It's definitely something I'd be interested in.
Yes.
It looks like we went over a little bit more than we meant to.
Yeah, we were definitely having a good discussion about some of these movies.
It looked like we had pretty good lists going on here.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
that sounds like a wrap, and we'll see you next time.
see you then.
All right, bye.
Bye.